Hey team, so we're thinking here about positive numbers and negative numbers. And before we get into kind of thinking about some more fancy mathematical terms for what you can refer to positive and negative numbers as, we're just going to kind of think about in our world as we use them, what do they mean? So when we think about a positive number, right, it often can be represented. Um, we can click here. Whoop, as a gain, right? So you gain yards in your soccer game as you move forward, or you gain dollars in your bank account as you do some chores, or you gain elevation as you go up into an airplane. Um, or you can also call it an increase. Okay? So positive numbers represent a gain or an increase, whereas the opposite is true for negative numbers, right? So they oftentimes represent a loss. So maybe, you fumble the football and there's a loss of yards, or a decrease. Decrease. So maybe, nope, yes, okay. So maybe you lose something or your bank account goes down. It's a decrease in money. So we're going to have some sort of situations here, and we're going to think about, is this a positive number that's being represented or a negative number that's being represented? So Dan lost a $5 bill. So we want to look for clue words, right? So we're looking for any sort of tips that we can give to ourselves. So if we think about, well, we know he lost it. If you lose it, you're going to have it go down. So this becomes a negative number or a decrease. So we could call this a negative $5 boop, loss. Okay. The football team had a 10-yard penalty. Again, keyword, right? Penalty. Are we going to be gaining or losing? And in this case, we're going to have a penalty which puts us back. So it's minus 10 yards in this case. The temperature is 37 degrees above zero. So the keyword here, we know how much, but we want to know which direction. So we're starting at zero and we're above zero, right? We're not negative 37, thank goodness. That would be ridiculously cold. But we are at plus 37 degrees. You can also just say 37 degrees, right? You don't have to put this plus sign here because it's implied. So the idea, right, is that you're using your keywords, you're using sort of the language in the context of your sentence, and you're trying to figure out, am I gaining? Am I losing? Is something going up? Is it going down? And then what you can do from there, see if we can scroll. So you can think about dragging these points, right? So we want to represent the answer to number 1, 2, 6, 7, and 8. So let's look. For number 1, we had that Dan lost a $5 bill. So we want to drag one of these little dots to negative, negative 5. Well, let me do it. Negative 5. Whoop. Oh, things are going crazy. All right. I'm just going to maybe do this. And put it on negative 5. Okay, so you'll kind of put each of these dots where they match up in your negative or positive land. Remembering, right, that 0 is neutral. So it's sort of like the home base, if you will. And then you can think about going back to your idea of understanding kind of place value and understanding where numbers fall in relation to each other. You can kind of describe how or what your process is for deciding where to put those decimals, right? How are you going to decide if it's between -1 and -2? Where do you decide where it goes? Is it closer to -1? Is it closer to -2? That type of explanation. All right. Oh, and finally, you get to come up with some of your own examples over here for using either an increase or a loss. So you can think about some times in your life or situations that you can describe.